A happy Friday to you, punters. We have a sensational meeting this weekend. We've got Moonee Valley tonight, the William Reid Stakes, Group 1. Sunlight going around as the short price favourite. We've got the Mornington Cup tomorrow. A good, pretty decent field, but the Hariba Stakes, it looks the most cracking field of that card. We'll go through that. We'll look at the Golden Slipper in Rosehill. How can we forget that? That is going to be a sensational meeting. We've got Autumn Sun, we've got Winks, got an absolute jam-packed card at Rosehill to go through. So I'm going to start tonight at Moonee Valley. It's a sensational card. I'm going to whip through it as quickly as I can. Try and get you guys off to a great start this tonight ahead of the weekend. So you have plenty of money to play with tomorrow for Mornington and Rosehill. Any other meetings you wish to go for. So let's get into it. Race 1 at Moonee Valley. They're over the 1,200 metres for the 3-year-olds. And the favourite in this race is Anjana. And look, probably looks very hard to go past. This looks a very progressive horse. Last start was excellent at Flemington in the Incognita Stakes up the straight. Really powered home with a superb finish to finish right over the top of Sunset Wash, who is also in this market. And I just think it's got the barrier 4. It's got going to get the perfect run. Should just sit just outside with a bit of cover. Should be able to just whip around the bend and finish over the top of them. It's $2.10 now, sorry. A little bit hard to chime into, but now it's Sunset Watch out. It really does look the one to beat. So I've got number 8 Anjana on top on the first. To finish in front of Yulong January, who I think can bounce back. Went up to Canberra, finished behind Final Award in the Canberra Guineas, 5.6 lengths. But I'm willing to forgive that. But the start prior, obviously, finished behind Terbium and Zusane. So it's been in some good form races, and I just think third up last time out. It won at Randwick when it went up there over the 1,400. It comes back to the 1,200 metres. Barrier 1, Mark Sarah. I think it should get a good time in the lead and could give a good kick. I think Colas is a good chance, number 3. Look, failed up the straight, but before that, at Moonee Valley was fantastic, beating Charlene, who's gone on with it. Charlene, so good form reference there. I'm willing to forgive that last start hiccup. Comes back to the Valley. I think it can run well. It should, again, just much like Anjana, has been drawn to get a good run in the race. So I've got that in for second. And in for third, I've got the 8 Chicago Cub. Now, this was well supported at Moonee Valley. Jumped at $5.50. Finished by a Testify. It goes around later on in the card. So we'll get a good form reference there on that sort of form. I think the way it finished off from the back, Chicago Cub was a little bit unlucky. Probably could have won that race. Only finished less than a length behind Testify in that race. I think it's a real progressive horse, and it is a very, very good chance to win this race. So I would not be leaving that out. And look, it'll be interesting to see what they do this time. Obviously, all depending on how he jumps, whether he goes forward or if he stays back in the field. If he doesn't jump, he might struggle this time round. Doesn't look like there's a ton of speed in this race. I mean, there's a little bit. Fine Dane will probably come across the outside barrier. Colas will be forward. Long January probably be forward. But, I just think if he doesn't jump this time round, he might be in a bit of trouble. Won't get that same run. But if he does, he'll get that perfect spot where he could sit probably just outside the lead or get a little bit of cover just in behind the leaders and could really assault on this field and cause a little bit of an upset. It's paying $8.50. But just to recap the first race tonight, we got number 8 Anjana on top. I think it's the one to beat. Number 4, Yulong January, I expected to bounce back after its first 2 runs, a third up. Number 3, Colas in for third, and number 6, Chicago Cub in for fourth. Race number 2 on the card, the Sunstud Valley Pearl for the 2-year-olds. Now, this looks a very good race. We got Andrassy Avenue coming back from the Blue Diamond Stakes. That looks the premier form, and boy, wasn't she good at Moonee Valley on that 2-year-old maiden win where it beat Mockery, who's come out to be a pretty good horse. You've got Mayan, who has been really well supported in the market off the back of its first up win where it won by 3 lengths impressively at Morphettville as a favourite, but looked very, very good. Looks like it's got a lot of ability and there's a real good chance here, and the market support shows that. So for me personally, I think Cheerleader's not a bad filly either. She was very good, very behind Mockery. Only 0.2 of a length off her, and then obviously was 0.2 of a length off Factor Fable. So she's thereabouts. She's getting very close to a win. So they're the 3 runners I've mentioned. They're the top 3 for me. I've got Andrassy Avenue on top. I think that run at Moonee Valley, the start prior to the Blue Diamond Stakes was just sensational. And I think if she can produce that sort of performance again, she can beat these. It's drawn barrier 4. Look, little bit of a concern. It might get trapped inside on the inside barrier, so it may need a little bit of luck. But if it gets that luck, it wins this race. So I've got it on top. Number 6, Andrassy Avenue. In for second, I have mine, and I think that was an excellent win. And it was sitting midfield, and it's drawn to get that sort of run again. It might just be able to get that bit of cover now. Obviously, it depends on where Treaty of Seville, Stand to Attention, and Dirty Work inside of it, how they jump. And of course, Andrassy Avenue could get caught 3 wide, so it's a little bit of a concern for me. If it had drawn slightly better, I probably would have had it on top. But just, that bit of a concern. I think Andrassy Avenue will get the better run in transit. In for third, I've got Cheerleader. Now, look, this has had a bit of a drift in the mark, which is a little bit surprising because she's been very close on her 2 runs, and I think she's drawn to get a good run again. It'll be interesting. Obviously, at Bendigo, she was closer to the lead. Then at Moonee Valley, she went back and finished off the line well. It'll be interesting to see what she goes with here. I would say that if she jumps, she needs to go forward because Lady Lupino looks like it'll be the only leader in the race. In that case, Cheerleader should be able to get right up on the inside rail. So I've got, Cheerleader in for third. Could easily win this race if it gets the right run. And Lady Lupino in for fourth. Look, I just think it'll go forward and it may have an easy time and give a good kick off the Moonee Valley bend. So I wouldn't leave that out of first 4s. So just to recap those numbers. Number 6, Andrassy Avenue on top. I've got my number 1, Mayan in for second. Number 8, Cheerleader in for third. And Lady Lupino, number 7, in for fourth. Race number 3 on the card, benchmark 70, the Schneider Electric Handicap. Pretty decent race this, and it looks pretty hard. I was keen on McGarrett till it got scratched. So now I've moved towards the odds-on favourite, Testify, but it is very hard to take it at that price, if you ask me. I'll be looking elsewhere, and I have number 3, More Wanted, on top. Now, this horse was scratched. It's first up. I'm thinking of Peter Chow's other runner during the week at Sandown. I thought it was the same runner, my mistake. But More Wanted, look, first up last start, won at Ballarat over the 1,000 metres, then went to this track and finished just 0.3 of a length off Reward with a return, who was flying around the valley at that time, was very, very good horse. And then it went to Flemington and won up the straight against Cash Affair. So this horse was in great form last prep. It could come back and it could win this race. Now, carrying a bit of weight, it gets Freddie Kersley's 2 kilo claim and has the wide barrier, which is a concern because there's a lot of speed inside of it. So perhaps they'll take it back in the field now. But the 1,200 metres, I think it is a real good chance here. If it can sit sort of midfield or just off midfield, bit of cover, it could really come into this race nicely off the good speed. So I've got in for on top. As I said, number 11, Testify. No knock on Testify. I just can't take $1.75. I know it's done all it can. And look, it'll probably tighten in if Chicago Cub comes out, wins the first race. That's a very good form reference to go off. But, I just think, it's very hard to take $1.75 on Testify. I think there's plenty more odds on favourites that are going around later in the card that look a bit of a safer bet than Testify. But I've got respect for it in for second. In for third, I've got Good Therapy. Has won at this track only the once. It was 3 starts ago, beating Lord Chetty. Was quite good at Yarra Valley last start, finishing second at Camilla Lucinda, and the quick backup is a real interesting factor. Only a 5-day backup. I think that speaks wonders. Ollie's on. I've total respect for that horse. It has the inside barrier, which, is a little bit of a concern. It may get trapped on the inside and have to, wind up and get home. But it's got the fast speed there, so it should be able to get its chance. And you can always trust a good jockey, and Damien Oliver. He's experienced. So I'm sure he'll try and do his best to get it out. So I've got it in for third. And I've got number 4, Outback Warrior, in for fourth. Now, it was a bit disappointing at Pakenham behind River Jewel, finished 5 lengths off. But before that was excellent being Matumbo at Sale in the benchmark 64. Really powered home nicely. And look, it could get that run again, like barrier 7. It could get caught. This could go one or two ways. Could get caught 3 wide, no cover, or it could slot into just behind the speed and get a perfect run in the race. So I would be looking at that in for fourth. So Number 3, More Wanted on top. Just, again, a value pick for me. I think it's a very good chance to be in the finish. I would much rather take that over Testifier at $1.75. Number 11, Testifier in for second at the $1.75. Number 5, Good Therapy in for third. Again, that 5-day backup is a real interesting factor for me. And number 4, Outback Warrior in for fourth. Race number 4, Benchmark 70 over the 2,040 metres. Good race, this one. Look, there's a few decent chances in this. And my on topper is number 5, English Gambler. I think this is a good chance of this horse. Former New Zealand galloper. Came here with a bit of a stoop on, a bit of a interest in it. Was with Darren Weir. Obviously, what happened with him. It's now with Peter Gallagher. Was a bit disappointing first up over the 1,400 at Flemington. Sandown, again, 1,500. I just think that they've just been holding it out. Now they've just gone bang up to 2,000 metres. I think this is its distance, and I think it can win this race. It's been well supported in the market as well, as I could see. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get the $11, but now it's $6 on the market. I still think it's backable odds. You get $2.20 the play, so I've got it on top. I just think that, it's a progressive horse, and that New Zealand form's quite good and could definitely win this race. In for second, I've got number 3, Snipes. Now, Snipes has been in good form this preparation. There we go. I've got it back. Sorry, punters. I just lost my screen there for a second. It's 2 wins in a row. Looking for 3 in a row. It was excellent Moonee Valley when it beat Ice Girl. Ice Girl's come out and run pretty well subsequently. Finished, I think it was 3rd at Sandown during the week. It was a very good run. So I think it's got some good form there. Then at the 61.5 kilos, it beat Alessandro last Bendigo. So can't leave it out. George Barrett's hen. But again, should be okay. It'll be interesting what they do with it, whether he goes forward like he has been, which he probably will, but we'll have to do a bit of work to get across. If it didn't draw that wide barrier, I probably would have had it on top, because there is a bit of speed inside of it. In for third, I have Ryan's Fender for Matt Kawani. Now, this was a good run last start at $1.60 odds on, but it won like a odds on favourite. It's the way you want it to do. And I think come up to the 2,040 metres will just suit perfectly. Now, last time it was at this distance, it won by 5.5 lengths. Now, I know that was a maiden, but at Benalla, but that was, you've got to have a look at that and think that Matt Kamani has placed it for this race, I think, and it's definitely a good chance. The start prior to last start, it finished 4.6 lengths off Declare's War. That looked like a good form race to come out of that. So I think it's definitely a good chance. For me personally, $3 is a bit hard to find out, but it's definitely within the chance. And in for fourth, number 6, Silent Stars, isn't without a chance here. First up was absolutely superb, going around $26. Finished behind Intueri, who just stole that race, running up front, just took the race away, but it really finished off nicely. Now, since then, it was disappointing on speed again when it was beaten just over 6 lengths by Shabao. At Flemington, then went to Bendigo. It was 3.9 lengths off Fanciful Toff. Now, Fanciful Toff came out again, ran second on Tuesday, where that meeting was. That might have been at Bendigo. I'll have to double check that one. But yeah, that Fanciful Toff's been running well, and also Latin Beat was in that race. Latin Beat was disappointing on Tuesday, but you've got to respect that form line. I think it shapes up nicely. Comes back to the Valley this time round. Could get a good chance. Now, look, I've left a couple out here. Look, LaBella Jude was excellent at Sandown on speed. Gave a great kick. Could win this race. It's been in great form. Finished behind the likes of Jungle Fish, Pacino Boy, who have all gone on to run well. So it's a very good chance. LaBella Jude. Probably could slot it in for fourth, but this is a very open race, very hard. And Clean Achiever finished off well behind Kardashian here at the Valley last start, only a length off. Now it gets the clean back up, but it had the perfect run in that race. I think it had every chance to win and didn't quite, so I left it out this time around. I was on Clean Achiever last starts. But so just to recap the numbers for the fourth race, very tough card. I've got number 5, English Gambler on top. Number 3, Snipes in for second. Number 4, Ryan's Fender in for fourth. And number 6, Silence of Stars in for fourth in what is a very difficult fourth race. Race number 5, the 955 metres. It's to kick off the quaddie. And gee, there's a good horse in this race. That's Super Hard. And how good was that win up the straight? That was superb. It just laboured at the back and then just finished right over the top with a superb turn of foot. Now, this horse showed a lot under Darren Weir last preparation. Run some very good races. Beat Silence. It was 2 lengths off Kachata in that good race at Flemington on Oaks Day. Beat Acadian the start before, who's been a decent horse. So it's just, it's a very, very good horse. And that first up run was absolutely superb. And I think it goes on with it. It's got superb second up stats. It's got 2 wins from 3 with a minor placing. So it'll be in the finish, and I think it wins this race with Ben Melham in the saddle. The only concern may be 9.55, but it looks like it'll get a good run. It looks like Plateau Gold and Desert Lashes will probably go forward from the outside barriers. Belwazi will be up there. So they'll have plenty of room. We'll get the run of the race. I just can't see it not winning this race. Number 5, Super Hard. In for second, I do have Belwazi. Now, Jerome Hunter, he has fantastic success this Moonee Valley track. And Belwazi was beaten by Super Hard by 1.3 lengths last start. So I've got to have it in the numbers. Obviously, beat Glenall in a listed race 3 starts ago. Failed at Caulfield behind Bonds Away in the WJ Adams Stakes listed race. But, for me, I think that run last start at Flemington was excellent. Comes back to Moonee Valley, runs well at this track, as a lot of Jerome Hunter horses do. So I've got it in for second with Jamie Carr in the saddle. Much like Super Hard, is drawn to get a good run. Looks like the speed from the outside horses will get across. It should be able to sit just in behind. May need a touch bit of luck because Ben Melham and Super Hard might be able to kick up and just keep it outside. But Belwazi might also get that position just behind the leaders, 1 out, 1 back. And if it can get that position, it will take a lot of running down. In for third, I've got Desert Lashes. Now, this horse is resuming off a long 146-day spell, but the fresh stats are superb. 6 starts fresh, 4 wins, 2 seconds. It'll be in the finish. I've got no doubt about it. It'll go forward. Should have a good time up there. Now, it's running some good races. It was 1.4 legs off Holy Blade at Morphettville in a listed race. Now, that's good form for this. Then it came to the Valley. It only finished 0.4 of a length off Ashlaw. So, got to have a lot of respect for this horse, for Tony McAvoy. So it'll be well within the chance. I was very close to popping it in for second, but I just popped that Belwazi in just because I think it might get the run of the race. But Desert Lashes, definitely a good watch on that. That is a very speedy customer, and those fresh stats are very, very inviting. So I've got it in for third. In for fourth, I've got Plateau Gold, who's was excellent winning at the Valley last start behind Vainstream. Now I backed Vainstream the start after, and it was disappointing. So that form line hasn't been as good as I thought it may have been. But regardless, it's knows how to go around this track. It'll go make its own luck up front, and it's going to be within the finish. Talia Hope gets that 3 kilo claim down to 52 kilos. That's a very, very small weight. It could really give a good kick. So I think that's your first 4 right there. I don't see it being anything else. Some good horses in this race. Caribbean Pearl could run a good race. Also the 52 kilos. Oberland for Mitch Freeman is resuming. I'd like to see it over a bit further though. Set teams to do its best over the 1200 metres. So I think I'd much rather watch with that horse this start. Demonstrate was good up the straight in that it had carried the 61 kilos, is now down to 55.5. But I think Super Hard and Belwazi have its measure, and so does Desert Lashes. So just recap my numbers. Number 5, Super Hard on top. Can't go past it. $2.30. Still looks a good price to me. It looks the best horse in the race. Number 4, Belwazi in for second. Number 3, Desert Lashes in for third. And number 8, Plateau Gold in for fourth. Race number 6 is the Group 3 Print Alexandra Stakes. Now, this is a really good field, this one. And quite a bit of dissect, a few different form lines, few from the same. But just to get straight into it, despite the wide draw, I'm on Moret. I've been a big follower of this horse for a long time. And last prep was excellent. Obviously, had that second by Chevalier d'Or at Sandown Fresh. Then it went and beat Juniper, who went into the, ran on Oakstone and ran excellent that day, Juniper. And so a good horse and absolutely towered it up by 4.5 lengths that start. Then it went to Caulfield, finished behind Amphitrite, 2.2 lengths. So, I mean, Purakawa, we're looking at some very top line horses there. This time around, Archie Alexander's just kept it out in the bush for a little while. Was excellent at Waterboard, just got over the line as a $1.80 favourite. It was a little bit, bit of a concern, but then it went to Echuca and at that benchmark 70 race, and it was superb. She was absolutely terrific. Finished over the top of Dance Tycoon, who has been a good horse in this prep, has been fancied quite a lot of times. So that's a very good form line for me. And I think if Jordan Charles can just navigate that wide barrier, which might be a little bit difficult, looks like there's a lot of speed up inside of it. Simi might be able to go forward. Victory Kingdom will definitely go forward. Kaviki up the inside barrier. So it may be able to just slot across. You just got to get a bit of cover. That's my one hope. But I think gets that run of the race, gets that cover, it'll finish straight over the top of him and it'll win this race, Moret. So I got her on top to beat Angelic Ruler, number 3. Now, I've had a lot of time with this horse. Last start at Flemington. We just finished 0.4 length of Spanish Whistler. It finished off hard and was excellent. Before that was only 0.5 length of Kafia. Just a little bit worried it's becoming that horse where it just, maybe just can't get the job done. So I've got it in for second again, $3.60. I wouldn't like to take that to find out. Number 5, Victory Kingdom, in for third. Now, this horse has run at this track twice. Finished 1.9 lengths off Embrace Me. It goes around later in the Group 1 William Reid Stakes. And I think it's a bit of a chance just to give you a bit of an insight early to that. Then obviously on debut was on the heavy track, the soft track, finished by Beers of Clinton, who just got away from it at that start. So it's run here at the Valley before. It's a top chance for Victory Kingdom. Probably won't get an easy time in the lead like it did last start. I mean, it was pressured a little bit, but it really had every chance to win. But I think, you've just got to respect it. I think it's a good horse, so I've got it in for third. In for fourth. Now, this is a bit of a throw at the starts, but I think number 13, Princess Jenny. Now, again, like Moret, has the wide barrier to deal with, but Ollie's in the saddle. He could probably get slotted into a nice spot now. It was excellent last prep. Beat Phoebe Valentino as a decent horse, then beat Exceedingly Easy at Geelong by 6 lengths. Had the spell, came into that Group 2 CUNY Stakes, where a Spanish Whisperer won. Came home pretty nicely, 4.5 lengths, but I think that she will be progressive off that run, and I think she's a decent chance. There's been a bit of a spruik on this horse, so I wouldn't leave it out of my first 4. Decent race, this, very hard. For 2, has its chance. The closer probably will be within the finish. I said, for me, though, they're the top 4. So just to recap, number 6, Moret on top in the Group 3 Alexandra Stakes to win ahead of number 3, Angelic Ruler, number 5, Victory Kingdom in for third, and number 13, Princess Jenny in for fourth. Looks some good odds there for that one. Number 7, here's the main one, the William Reid Stakes, the Group 1, over the 1,200 metres, and it's a superb field. Number 10, Sunlight, is the favourite, $1.60. Oh, what can I say? She was fantastic in the Newmarket up the straight, holding out Osborne Bulls, had the light weight. This time around, currently carries 54 again, so I mean, all odds are looking its favour now. It's ran here at the Valley, where it finished behind Brave Smash. It was well supported that night. Actually, I think it went round as favourite from memory. It was very disappointing. So that's my only query. It's just that run at the Valley. But look, she is 100% on topper. I just couldn't take $1.60. For me, it's way too short for me to take. So I've actually gone it with number 11, Embrace Me. Again, it's going around a big price. Not as big as it did in the Typhoon Tracy race last start, where it went around at $31. And Brett Preble gave it a peach of a ride. He went straight through the inside when the gap opened from the back of the field, just stormed over top of them with an impressive turn of foot. Now, that was a Group 3 race, but it beat Spanish Whisper. Now, that form, in the race prior, we're going to see a lot of horses that have finished around Spanish Whisper, so we should be able to get a good indication on how good that form line is. Now, obviously, Spanish Whisper came and won at Flemington, last Saturday. So the form line is there. This horse, it's a step up to Group 1. It's the first time it's been in a Group 1. I understand that, but that turn of foot was fantastic. Like, was the sort of turn of foot that could really see it win this race. The only thing might be that, the sort of run it'll get. There looks to be a bit of speed in the race. Sunlight will be up there. Foul Swoop will go forward. Whip and By will go forward. Dothraki will go forward. Battle Hero should also go forward. It's going to be so much speed. I think it could just get the perfect run in this race. And for $15, I think it has to be the on topper for me. Number 7, Sprite, is in for second now. $7 about Sprite now. Its run was terrific at Caulfield behind Booker on Blue Diamond Day. That was in the Oakley Plate that race was, and she was terrific in that race. Then she went up to the Group 3 behind Winter Bride, finished, was very unlucky not to win, got out late, really savaged the line. She'll be right well within the finish here. She's run it at this track before. Last time she did was in the Group 1 where she finished behind Brave Smash by 0.8 of a length. And then the start prior to that, she finished 2.16 off Vidora. So she knows how to run here in Group 1s and usually is within the finish. So I've got to have her in. So number 7, Sprite in the second now. I thought she'd win last start. She's a little bit disappointing, but she could easily bounce back here in for third. Number 10, Sunlight in for fourth. Look, no knock, but $1.60, no thank you. With all that speed in the race, I find it very hard to take it. But in saying that, she is a very, very good filly. She's probably one of the best, if not the best 3-year-old filly, and probably one of the best 3-year-olds in the country right now. You could very much argue that she's up there with the Autumn Sun and Mystic Journey. So I've got her in the numbers. You can't leave her out, obviously, but I just can't take $1.60 when you've got that much speed in the race. I just think, very, very tough to take. In for fourth, I've got Voodoo Lad. Now, he was a bit disappointing first up again, behind Nature Strip. Just got burnt off there. Was disappointing up the straight behind Sunlight, but he can bounce back here, I think. Will have the speed to come in the race. Should get drawn to get a nice run as well. So I've really got it in there to run a good race. So just to recap my numbers, look, no lock on Sunlight, number 10, but just would not advise you to take it at $1.60 with all the speed in the race. So number 11, Embrace Me, I think is the knockout chance. Has won at this track, and that turn of foot in the Typhoon Tracy was superb, and that sort of speed and sectionals could see it win this race. I really can. So, and Damien Oliver's on, of course. I've got to mention that one as well. So number 11 on top, Embrace Me at good odds. Number 7, Sprite for second. Number 10, Sunlight in for third, and number 2, Voodoo Lad in for fourth. The final race of the card is the Sunline Stakes Group 2. This looks a good race. Unlike Sunlight, I can take $1.75 on Spanish Reef because it'll get the run of the race. I'm a Star will probably press on from the outside. Consensus might show a little bit of speed. That'll be an interesting one. The New Zealand Galloper. Look, that's a cracking horse. I've got a lot of time for this horse, but I'm waiting for it to perhaps go out to that 1,800, 2,000 metres. So Spanish Reef will go on top for me because I think it'll get the perfect run of the race. Not too much speed, should be able to just flow into the race, loop around them and finish off nicely to win. $1.75, I'm actually happy to take that in comparison to Sunlight, not Sunline. This is the Sunline Stakes. But if a second, I have I Am a Star. Again, we'll be on the speed. Loves race this track. It's 3 wins from 4 starts. And same, likewise, the distance has been there or thereabouts. Look, was beaten well by Spanish Whisper last start, but comes back to the Valley. You've got to just keep that in mind, and we'll get a good time on the speed. So we'll get the good run of the race. So I've got it in for second. This Kiwi horse Consensus in for number 3. Now this is a Group 1 horse. This has the class to beat probably these horses, but I'm just a little bit concerned first up at the Valley. New Zealand horses can often struggle here at the Valley. It's a tight bend. They don't really have anything like that at the New Zealand tracks. So for me, I'd rather watch it for second up. I think it'll be in the finish because we'll get a good time up on the speed. Should probably sit just outside of I Am a Star, or it might even boot up and actually, get in front and lead the way. So we have to wait and see on that one. So I've got him in for third. In for fourth, Our Libretto. Now, this is a very good horse. A lot of time for this, but I'll be waiting to watch it further. Obviously, 2,000 metres looks more its trip, but it's still a class galloper, and it will finish off late, and I think it'll finish in for fourth. Just to recap the numbers, number 4, Spanish Whisper on top. In for second, I've got number 1, I Am a Star. In for third, number 3, Consensus. And in for fourth, number 8, Our Libretto. Well, it's a very good Sunline Stakes, actually. It's a very good field. But yeah, they're more on toppers for me. So just to recap, probably the best of the card for me. Um, oh yeah, look, it's super hard. Probably the best of the card for me at two. I know it's $2.30, but I couldn't go past it. It looks a very very good chance to win that race. And as a bit of a value play, I would be looking at Embrace Me in the William Reid Stakes. I just think it's a fantastic chance. It's drawn to get a good run. A lot of speed in the race. Should be able to come on very nicely. And if it can produce that turn of foot again, I think it'll finish right over the top for him, or at the very least be in the finish. So yeah, that's tonight's card. I'll produce another video very shortly of my preview ahead of Mornington and Rose Hill tomorrow. So yeah, thanks. Good luck tonight, punters. Hopefully, I've steered you in the right direction, or you can take your own tips out of it. I'm much like you guys. I mean, I like to get other people's thoughts and opinions, because then if you can get that, you can get that bit of confidence. You know, if you see it off other tipsters that they've tipped something similar to you, or you've got them in the numbers, it just gives you that bit more confidence. So I'm hoping that I've just given you a bit of my thoughts ahead of tonight's racing. Hopefully, we can grab some winners. We can go into tomorrow with a bit of a bang and a massive pocket ready to go. So good luck, punters, and have a good night.